Yeah, I mean, you saw the terrible turnovers. I think you look at the body language and the energy level, like things that we've already talked about. And it's just been a struggle for Scotty this season, man. And like, I really think, I don't know if it's one of those things where it's just a stretch that he needs to go through. Like, he's going to have these ups and downs, and maybe he needs to go through this for an entire season and kind of just come out of it and figure out what he needs to work on in the summer and kind of come back with like just more perspective on just kind of his overall role like next year. Like, I don't know if it's one of those things where you can just say he's having a couple of bad games and then like, because like he might bounce back tomorrow against Brooklyn and put up a lot of numbers, but like it's gotten to the point where like I think a quarter of the way through the season, like I just need to see it more consistently, right? Like I'm not sure if like one or two games is going to be one of those things where I'm going to be like, like okay, like Scotty's back now. I think there's clearly, I just clearly think there's just more to it in terms of him just adjusting to the expectations or whatever it might be, his role on the team. And I think we've held him to such high expectations after winning the Rookie of the Year. I just wonder if it's better instead of, obviously us coming here, like we're going to point out obviously all these bad games that he's having, but is it time to just not have these outsized expectations for him for this year?
Sure, I think that's fine.
You know what? Like, take the good as a surprise at this point and, like, just let him work through it and have him grow.
So to essentially treat him like a rookie again.
Yeah.
Because last year when Scotty had bad games, it wasn't like, wow, Scotty was really disappointing tonight. It was like,
yes,
well, Scotty couldn't really get into the game. And some games it's like, wow, look what he did, And I think some of that. But also at the same time, like, if you're entrusted to be a starter in this lineup, like, shouldn't there be some sort of baseline to what you can expect? Are there not like two or three things that you expect any player to come in and say,
yes,
right? Like,
but I think that's why it's like, I don't think we should overreact when Nick sits him for like an entire second half
or brings him off the bench.
Yeah, because I think, you earn expectations in this league and like you earn minutes in this league. Like, I don't look at that as a benching. I just look at it as Nick knew that he wasn't one of the five guys that was going to help them come back.
Yeah.
Right.
So if we are going to like at least set like just basic expectations.
Yeah, what are the
basic
You've talked about this. Your favorite word this year is the non-negotiables, right?
So defense.
And I think the non-negotiables are still the exact same that you talked about, right? The defense, the energy, the effort, and all of that.
Well, I mean, last night, when you watch through the film, so he didn't take a lot of shots, right? He took 7 shots. 5 of those were threes. Obviously, he's going to take a couple more threes because of the fact that Pascal is operating a lot now. And so, everyone's not supposed to be in the paint, especially when Thad Young's on the floor. And Thad's your de facto center. Like before, that could have been Scotty when they started small, right? He would be the de facto 5, and he'd be in the paint and the dunker, and then Pascal draws 2, and he's, shovels it over to Scotty and he finishes, right? We saw 2, but like, so he's taking more threes. It's not entirely up to him, right? But at the same time, like, there was not even one play, I remember last night, where he impacted the paint. When you look at his 5 assists, which is, again, not a bad total, right? Roughly where he's at for the season, and his assists are up. But if you look at the film of those 5 assists, he doesn't touch the paint in any of those in those plays. And that's not to say that that's the only way to record an assist, right? But at the same time, what the Raptors want is for guys to drive, touch the paint, kick out, or finish, right? And it's not even that complicated in terms of the general principle of sort of how the Raptors want to play. It's actually very similar to a lot of teams across the league. But you look at the plays last night, is there an instance where Scotty impacted the paint? And more importantly, is he getting there on his own? Right? Yeah. Whether that's through the post up, whether that's through a drive, whether that's off a pick and roll or whatever. Like, yes, he had 2 paint attempts last night. Those were both situations where Pascal drew a double, he ducked in, and once he finished, once he didn't. But like, can you get there on your own? Because otherwise, what are you really asking him to do? Right? Like, essentially, you're just saying play a supporting role, play some defense, rebound the ball, show some energy. And on that front, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, you could say we have outsized expectations because, you won Rookie of the Year and all that stuff. But at the same time, like, that's what expectations for anybody to come into the game.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I think the expectations in terms of, like, the non-negotiables, like, have to be there. I think it's just that, he just hasn't earned, us expecting anything more than that at this point. You know what I mean? Like he had a great, Rookie of the Year season.
Yep.
And I think he was expected to make a jump. And we can talk about, people always say, like, development year to year can change and stuff like that. It's just that the way he's performing right now, like, I just don't have those expectations for him at this point. Like as a, like.
But do you expect him to play hard?
Yes. Yeah. Okay, no, those things definitely. I think those are 2 separate conversations. I think the most disappointing thing you can say about Scotty is, like, with his skill set, it's disappointing to see him in so many games, like you said, just not making an impact.